Okay, so it seems like Stellar Blade has been annoying even more people, and well, it seems like it's continuing on this whole entire drama, especially with certain people in the space that have been very vocally against Stellar Blade. But obviously, we just need a quick reminder as to exactly where Stellar Blade is at the moment. And well, if you take a look, verified signatures at 5,548. So again, obviously doing way better. If you guys want to know what happened to the other petition, well, it's on 89 signatures. So again, it's not even worth pulling up because I'm pretty sure it hasn't gotten any more signatures from the last time that I covered it. So that really shows, goes to show how much people want Stellar Blade to leave the original design and obviously keep Evie, who was revealed in the Stellar Blade Blood Rain trailer, which has been causing so much controversy. And well, one post obviously has come out recently from Yorch once again, who we have covered quite a lot on this channel before, for essentially the reason of, he's kind of switched up his views, I guess, in terms of like censorship and all of this kind of stuff, all because he doesn't like the character of Evie, which I think is pretty crazy. And obviously, yeah, this is what they say. They're saying the censorious crowd, led by J Viper, V, Sir D, and Smash JT, went nuts the moment I criticized Evie's design. Yes, it's an androgynous, childlike character. So the question that I have for all of those rage bait merchants is, are you really here for the games or just the goon bait? So yeah, obviously asking a question of people, and a lot of people have been commenting on this, saying I don't really get the whole goon bait thing. Maybe I'm too old. Last time I had a crush on a cartoon was 1970 or early 80s. She-Ra and Firestar, kind of looking as kind of silly looking back on it. I said same. Yeah, the guys in their mid 30s and 40s are desperate about claiming censorship whenever you criticize their goon bait. About time to grow up. And well, I mean, no, I don't think it is one of these things where, it's just like an excuse or whatever, saying, oh, we're getting rid of goon bait, so that's censorship. I mean, it literally is censorship. Like, let's be real, right? Saying to get rid of this kind of stuff is censorship. Like, there's no like way of getting around it. So again, I don't understand these points, right? But obviously, there's been replies saying gate kept, obviously with a picture of Evie there saying, go and tell Rokisho he owes me apology. Doom the Dark Ages destroyed ID Software. And obviously people talk about like people like Alita Battle Angel, right? Saying probably the one area where I push back because I know what it's referencing. And obviously, yeah, the character is 100% inspired by Alita Battle Angel. Like, it, you could tell that from a mile away. And obviously they say, and that's further the problem that I should start addressing. The Stellar Blade brand was built by an original character, Eve, and no direct references. And honestly, I don't remember Battle Angel Alita's author saying Alita will feature more appealing outfits. Again, I don't know if this guy just doesn't understand. You can reference something without, having to be exactly the same, right? There is 100% a reference to Alita Battle Angel within the character of Evie, with the whole suit and all of this kind of stuff, even the hairstyle, the short kind of hair. I think that is 100% taken some kind of, design choices and whatever from that, right? It doesn't mean that, you can't just add things onto it, right? It's still its own character within its own right? Evie is still its own character, but at the same time, you can still reference something and still it be its own character. Okay, like, I don't understand what, like, it's so stupid, right? Like, no direct references. Again, there's 100% references. Every single game studio, anime studio, literally any studio that is creating something uses mood boards and different kind of pre-production methods to find what they want their characters to look like. And I can assure you, Alita Battle Angel was probably on that board. Whether it's, we're not saying that they're necessarily a character that is like, they've got Alita up on one screen and Evie up on the other, and they're constantly trying to like look back and forth and keep them as similar as possible. No, they've just taken her design as a kind of inspiration for their character, which is a completely new character, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit weird. And also, by the way, if you got this far in the video, use the hype button. Apparently it's good. I've heard from some friends, it helps out. So if you guys want to do that, it would just be like below. Click the hype button, and yeah, it will help out. So thanks. Anyways, let's continue. For that, boss, you have to assume that Stellar Blade was bad in the first place. The Stellar Blade was a great game. Eve became a symbol of beauty and elegance, but that censorious mob, defined by attention span of a parakeet, already forgot that. Terrible audience, gaming deserves better. which obviously a lot of people have replied to that one, which is pretty interesting, saying, so what did you find personally great about it, other than Eve and what people have been raving about all these years? And yeah, I mean, it's kind of insane to be saying like, hey, I don't like the goon bait and whatever within the game, right? And this is also another point that we keep going back on, right? We keep saying that, oh, you know, we don't like the fact that it's goon bait, but the thing is, he enjoyed Stellar Blade 1, which I'm gonna be honest, was just as bad in terms of like, you know, the gooner type characters and all of this kind of stuff, whatever you want to call it, right? It's just as bad. You know, of course, maybe Stellar Blade and Shift Up are going for something even crazier, right? But still, you know, I would consider Stellar Blade to have a lot of, you know, kind of gooner aspects in it. So I think complaining about it while also saying the first one was so great it's just like confusing, right? Nobody can understand this. Saying, look, I don't know why you're doing this. I don't give a fuck about Shift Up or Blades or whatever it's called. I just don't do a female protagonist like ever. I do think you of all people have the ability to set aside your anger and frustration and just start finding the positive W's. Did he really calling Evie a positive W for gaming? Come on, a positive W is Mecha Chameleon or a Crimson Desert or Mouse PI. Evie gaming deserves better. Okay. Then I'm back to this bullshit. It said, oh, and I'm only just getting warmed up. So go and notify all the faux anti-woke that I'm criticizing their androgynous character. Shift Up still has time to fix that disaster. Again, calling Evie an androgynous character is kind of crazy, considering some of the things that, you know, him and other people have been saying about it. Now she's androgynous, eh? Keep moving the goalpost is probably the only exercise you've ever seen. That's a crazy insult. Saying we really need to reconsider. Sorry, we need to reconsider if mankind really requires his seed. That's funny. Saying the androgynous childlike character in question. How much longer will he continue this grift? Saying the hilarious thing about Yorch is trying to spin the narrative this way, and those who follow me will be able to immediately confirm/verify what I'm saying. For me, it's never been about goombait. In fact, this retarded narrative about sexy women in games is something you spent the last year talking about and arguing about, Yorch. For me, what has always mattered is whether or not characters are being designed in a way that appeals to players. This doesn't mean that every female character has to be, you know, sexualized. She just has to be appealing. Then there's many different ways to achieve that. But if you deliberately make your character look average or ugly without a good reason, you're just gimping your product, and that's retarded. So that's the real problem, which Yorch is too stupid to understand on his own, is that there is an obvious and deliberate campaign to make women in games more average, toned down, and sanitized. There is a deliberate agenda to strip characters of even the faintest traces of femininity and sexuality. This is a major problem, not because I want to sit around jerking my blank to the game, but because it's an agenda that is born from political ideology, one that operates in spite of the preferences of consumers. Not only is this bad on its own, for reasons that should be obvious, but then again, you're retarded, it's also a giant red flag that tells us this game is probably going to suck blank, because it shows us that creators fundamentally do not give a shit about their players/consumers. Naturally, someone who doesn't care about the consumer is going to have much harder times creating a worthwhile project. So yeah, I mean, it is interesting, right? In censorious crowd, the censorious crowd who opposes censorship, I don't think it means what you think it means, right? And yeah, obviously he's going around saying it's the censorious crowd, which again, that's the opposite of what people want, right? I think it's neither, and you are a grifting retard. Your whole argument hinges on one frame outside of an entire trailer, which, by the way, even that with that frame, you're wrong as always. Then calling other people censorious when you're the one actively pushing for censorship. So yeah, a lot of people pushing back against that. And again, I think it's just one of these things where, I don't know, like these points just don't make any sense. And there's a lot of different holes and loops within these arguments, especially going back as to like old opinions as well, that just keep on getting picked apart. And it's kind of just like, you know, it's just like watching someone get ripped apart, really, right? And it's sometimes it's entertaining, but sometimes it's just like, oh my god, bro, like, do we really need to be doing this? But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazo, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.